Hi there. Before we dive in, it's a fun idea if you drop a comment with your location. Thanks. Make sure to like and subscribe. Let's settle in and get started. The phone buzzes in my pocket, yanking me from my work. I fish it out, squinting at the screen. A message from an unknown number. My lover called. I'm locked in your basement. Your husband has a saw and pincers. Hurry, he's coming. My blood turns to ice. I reread the message, my heart pounding. What the hell is this? Some sick joke? I'm Jack, just an average guy with an average life. Emily, my wife, is the love of my life. We've been married for 10 years, living in a cozy suburban house. I work in IT, a steady job, nothing fancy. Our life is predictable, but it's ours. Emily works from home, running her own graphic design business. We have a routine, and it works for us, but this message, it doesn't fit. I can't shake it off. I shove the phone back in my pocket, trying to focus on my work, but the words burn into my brain. My lover called. Emily's lover? No, she wouldn't. We're happy, aren't we? I think back to recent weeks. Emily's been distant, her laughter less frequent, her smiles forced. She's on her phone a lot, more than usual. I've brushed it off, telling myself she's just busy with work. But now, doubts creep in. Could she be cheating on me? I leave work early, my boss giving me a concerned look. I mutter something about a family emergency and bolt. The drive home is a blur. I keep thinking about that message. Who sent it, and why? I pull into our driveway. The house looks the same, peaceful and inviting. I step inside, calling out for Emily. No answer. I head to the basement door, my heart thudding in my chest. I've never felt such a mix of fear and anger. The basement is dark, the air cool and damp. I switch on the light. It's a mess, boxes and tools strewn everywhere. In the corner, I see a phone lying on the floor. My breath catches. This isn't Emily's phone. I pick it up, scrolling through the messages. It's full of texts between Emily and someone named Mark. My hands shake as I read them. They're explicit, filled with promises and plans. My stomach churns. I pocket the phone and head back upstairs, my mind racing. Emily's been cheating on me. My wife, the woman I've loved and trusted for a decade. Anger surges through me. I grab a beer from the fridge, trying to calm myself. I need a plan. Confronting her now, in my current state, would be disastrous. The door opens and Emily walks in. She smiles, but it doesn't reach her eyes. Hey, how was your day? I force a smile. Fine, just fine. How about you? She shrugs, heading to the kitchen. Same old, same old. I watch her, a pit of despair opening in my chest. Everything seems ordinary, but this one event has completely changed my life. I need to find out more. I need to know the truth. I can't sleep. Emily is beside me, breathing softly, her face serene. My mind races, replaying the messages from Mark's phone. My wife, my Emily, is cheating on me. I stare at the ceiling, anger and hurt twisting inside me. I need to act, but I can't rush. I need a plan. The next morning, Emily is cheerful, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. I'm meeting a client today, she says, pouring coffee. It might run late. I nod, forcing a smile. No problem, I'll grab dinner on my own. As she leaves, I feel a mix of relief and dread. Today, I'll find out more. I check the hidden phone, noting the messages. Emily and Mark plan to meet at our house in the afternoon. Perfect. I'll be ready. I install a hidden camera in the living room, making sure it's well concealed. I test it, watching the feed on my laptop. Every detail is crystal clear. Satisfied, I leave for work, though my mind is elsewhere. I can't focus on my job. My thoughts keep drifting back to Emily, to her betrayal. I imagine her with Mark, their bodies entwined. The images make me sick. I leave work early again, telling my boss I'm not feeling well. He looks worried, but lets me go. Back home, I wait. The house is silent, the minutes crawling by. Finally, I hear the door open. Emily's voice, laughing. Mark's voice, low and intimate. My stomach churns. I watch the feed on my laptop. They're in the living room, close together, touching. Emily's face is lit with a happiness I haven't seen in months. She kisses him, her hands roaming his body. My fists clench. Their conversation is a mix of mundane and intimate, punctuated by laughter and stolen kisses. Emily tells him about our life, our routines, our secrets. My blood boils. She's sharing our life with him, making a mockery of our marriage. As they move to the couch, things heat up. Emily's shirt comes off, revealing lacy lingerie. Mark's hands are all over her, his mouth following. The scene is erotic, charged with a raw energy. I feel a twisted mix of arousal and rage. I force myself to watch, to take it all in. This is my fuel, my reason. I need to remember every detail, to use it against them. Their moans fill the room, their bodies moving in rhythm. It's sickeningly intimate, a mockery of the love we once shared. Finally, they're spent, lying together, whispering sweet nothings. Emily's face is flushed, her hair tousled. She looks blissful, content. I feel like an intruder, a voyeur in my own home. But I can't look away. They talk about their plans, their future together. Mark promises to leave his wife, to be with Emily. She's thrilled, her eyes shining. My world crumbles around me. She's planning to leave me, to start a new life with him. They finally leave, Emily kissing him goodbye at the door. I wait until the house is silent before I move. I retrieve the camera, the hidden phone, my heart heavy. I have the evidence I need, but it feels like a hollow victory. Emily returns later, smiling as if nothing has changed. "How was your day?" she asks, her voice light. "Fine," I lie, my chest tight. "Just the usual." I spend the next few days gathering more evidence. I install more cameras, track their messages, their calls. Each piece of evidence is another knife in my heart, but I need it. I need to be sure. The tension between us grows. Emily senses something, her smiles becoming less frequent, her laughter forced. I play the part of the clueless husband, biding my time. I need to be patient, to wait for the right moment. One evening, I confront her. "Emily, we need to talk." She looks nervous, her eyes darting around. "What about?" I hold up the hidden phone. "This." Her face drains of color. "Where did you get that?" "I found it. Care to explain?" She stammers, trying to find words. It's not what you think." I laugh, a harsh sound. "Really? Because it looks exactly like what I think. You're cheating on me?" Tears well in her eyes. "Jack, I'm sorry. I never meant for this to happen." But it did, and now we have to deal with it. We sit in silence, the weight of her betrayal hanging between us. She tries to explain, to justify, but I don't want to hear it. Her words are just noise, meaningless. I let her think I'm considering forgiveness. I let her cry, beg, plead. Inside, I'm cold, calculating. I know what I need to do. I reach out to a friend, an old buddy from college who works in private security. He helps me set up more surveillance, more ways to track Emily and Mark. He doesn't ask questions, sensing my need for discretion. I trust him implicitly. With each passing day, my plan takes shape. I gather more evidence, more proof of their affair. I compile everything, creating a dossier that's damning, indisputable. I feel a grim satisfaction. They won't see it coming. Emily and Mark plan another rendezvous, this time at a hotel. I follow them, watching from a distance. They check in, laughing and touching, oblivious to the world. I document everything, every kiss, every touch, every whispered promise. Back home, I confront Emily again. "I know about the hotel," her face pales. "Jack, please, let me explain." I hold up the photos, the videos. "Explain this." She breaks down, sobbing. "I'm sorry, Jack, I don't know what came over me." Sorry isn't good enough. You've destroyed our marriage, our life. She reaches for me, but I pull away. "Don't touch me. We're done." I leave her there, broken and sobbing. I feel a grim satisfaction. This is just the beginning. She'll pay for what she's done. They both will. I start planning my revenge in earnest. I use the surveillance footage, the messages, the photos to create a timeline, a narrative. I consult with my buddy, making sure everything is airtight. I want to make sure they can't escape, that they face the full consequences of their actions. The day of reckoning is near. Emily and Mark are planning another meeting, this time at our house. I'll be ready. I'll make sure they understand the depth of their betrayal, the pain they've caused. I prepare the basement, setting up everything I need. I sharpen the saw, lay out the pincers, making sure everything is in place. I test the cameras, the microphones, making sure they capture every moment. The anticipation builds, a mix of fear and excitement. This is it. The moment I've been waiting for, the moment I make them pay. Emily leaves for her client meeting, and I watch her go, a sense of finality settling over me. I wait, my heart pounding, my hands shaking. This is it. This is the moment I take control. Mark arrives, his face lit with excitement. He doesn't see me as he enters the house, his mind focused on Emily. I wait, biding my time. They settle in the living room, their usual routine. I watch, my heart racing. Finally, I make my move. I step into the living room, my presence startling them. Emily's face drains of color. Mark's eyes widen in fear. "Hello, Mark. Emily." My voice is calm, controlled. "We need to talk." They try to explain, to justify, but I don't let them. I motion for them to follow me, leading them to the basement. They hesitate, but I insist. "Please, sit." I gesture to the chairs I've set up. They comply, their fear palpable. I lay out the evidence, piece by piece, watching their reactions. Emily sobs. Mark's face contorts in anger and fear. I savor the moment, the power I hold over them. "This is what you've done," I say, my voice cold. "This is the pain you've caused." I hold up the saw, the pincers. "And this is how you'll pay." Their screams echo in the basement as I begin. The sound is both satisfying and horrifying. This is my revenge, my justice. They thought they were smart, but I've outsmarted them. I've made them pay. As the night wears on, I feel a sense of closure, a sense of finality. This is the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. I've taken control of my life, of my destiny. Emily and Mark lie broken before me, their betrayal laid bare. I feel a grim satisfaction, a sense of justice served. They thought they were smart, but I've outsmarted them. I've made them pay. And now I can begin to rebuild. I can't keep them in the basement forever. Their muffled cries and the sight of their blood-streaked faces are too much, even for me. I need to move fast. My mind races with ways to solve this problem. I know I must act before Emily or Mark find a way to escape, or worse, before someone discovers them. First, I clean up. I wash the tools, wipe the bloodstains, and dispose of the evidence. I can't have any trace of what I've done left behind. The basement is spotless when I finish, a stark contrast to the horror that took place. I stand there, breathing hard, my heart pounding. I confront Emily and Mark. "You thought you could betray me and get away with it?" My voice is cold, calculated. Emily sobs, her face streaked with tears. "Jack, please, let us go. We're sorry." Mark, weaker now, simply nods, his eyes wide with fear. "We won't tell anyone. Just let us go." I shake my head. "No, you don't get to decide that. I do." They look at each other, their despair palpable. I savor the moment, feeling a grim satisfaction. This is my revenge, and they will suffer for what they've done. I move them to a secluded cabin we own in the woods, away from prying eyes. It's a risky move, but I can't keep them in the house any longer. I gag them and tie them up in the trunk of my car. The drive is tense, every bump in the road making my heart skip a beat. What if we're stopped? What if someone sees us? We arrive at the cabin under the cover of darkness. I drag them inside, securing them to chairs in the middle of the room. I sit across from them, the tension thick in the air. "Why?" I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. "Why did you do this to me?" Emily looks at me, her eyes filled with tears. It just happened, Jack. We didn't mean for it to go this far. I laugh, a harsh, bitter sound. You didn't mean for it to go this far. You were planning a future together. Mark struggles to speak through his gag. I remove it, and he gasps for air. We were wrong, Jack. We know that now. Just let us go. I shake my head. No, you need to understand the pain you've caused. I spend the next few days tormenting them, making them relive every moment of their betrayal. I force them to read their messages aloud, to recount their meetings in graphic detail. It's torturous for them, and strangely cathartic for me. I feel a twisted sense of power, of control, but it's not enough. I need more. I need to ensure they can never hurt me or anyone else again. I call my friend from private security, Paul. He arrives at the cabin, his face grim. He's brought supplies, rope, chains, locks. We work in silence, securing Emily and Mark to the walls. They're terrified, pleading for mercy, but I'm beyond that now. Paul looks at me, his expression unreadable. What's the plan, Jack? I take a deep breath. We keep them here, make sure they can't escape. They need to suffer for what they've done. Paul nods. Understood, but this can't go on forever. I know, I say, my voice tight, but for now, this is how it has to be. Days turn into weeks. Emily and Mark grow weaker, their spirits broken. I watch them, a mix of anger and pity churning inside me. This isn't who I am. I'm not a monster. But their betrayal has turned me into something I don't recognize. One night, I hear Emily sobbing. I sit next to her, my heart heavy. Why, Emily? Why did you do it? She looks at me, her eyes hollow. I don't know, Jack. I was lonely. You were always working. Mark was there, and it just happened. Her words cut deep. I look at Mark, who is slumped in his chains, barely conscious. And you? Why did you go along with it? He lifts his head, his eyes filled with regret. I was weak. I wanted her, and I didn't care about the consequences. I stand, the weight of their betrayal crashing down on me. I can't keep doing this. I need to find a way out. Paul pulls me aside one evening. This has to end, Jack. You're destroying yourself. I nod, knowing he's right. But how do I end this? How do I move on? An idea forms, a desperate, dangerous plan. I'll stage their escape, make it look like they overpowered me and fled. It's risky, but it's the only way out. I tell Emily and Mark the plan. They're skeptical, but they have no choice. I untie them, giving them a chance to clean up, to look presentable. I make sure the cabin looks like a struggle took place, smashing furniture and scattering items. We wait until nightfall. I bind my own hands loosely, enough to break free but convincing enough for the police. I call 911, my voice shaking. They escaped. They attacked me and ran. The police arrive quickly, their lights flashing in the darkness. They question me, their eyes suspicious. I stick to the story, my heart pounding. They search the area, but of course, find no sign of Emily and Mark. Weeks pass. The police believe my story, marking Emily and Mark as fugitives. I'm free, but the weight of what I've done stays with me. I try to return to normal life, but it's impossible. The memories haunt me, their faces etched in my mind. One day a detective visits me. His eyes are sharp, his questions pointed. He doesn't believe my story. He thinks there's more to it. Mr. Hayes, can you tell me again what happened that night? He asks, his voice calm but insistent. I recount the story, sticking to every detail. But his eyes bore into me, searching for cracks. You seem very composed for someone who went through such a traumatic experience, he says, his tone accusatory. I force a smile. I've had time to process it. He doesn't buy it. I see it in his eyes. He's digging, trying to find something to pin on me. I spend the next few days on edge, waiting for the other shoe to drop. The detective's visit rattles me. I can't afford any mistakes. I decide to confront him, to take control of the situation. I visit the police station, requesting a meeting. He's surprised to see me, but agrees. Detective, I know you don't believe my story, I say, my voice steady. But it's the truth. He leans back in his chair, studying me. You're hiding something, Mr. Hayes. I can feel it. I maintain my composure. I'm not. I just want this nightmare to be over. He narrows his eyes. We'll see about that. Leaving the station, I feel a sense of dread. The walls are closing in, the pressure mounting. I need a way out, a final solution. That night, I pack a bag, taking only what I need. I leave a note for the detective, confessing everything. It's a gamble, but I see no other choice. I can't live like this anymore, trapped by my own actions. I drive to the cabin one last time. Emily and Mark are gone, their chains broken. I sit on the porch, the weight of my decisions pressing down on me. I've outsmarted them, but at what cost? The sun rises, casting a pale light over the forest. I take a deep breath, feeling a strange sense of peace. I've done terrible things, but I've also found my strength. I'll face whatever comes next, ready to rebuild. The detective will find my note, and the truth will come out. But for now, I'm free. Free from the lies, the betrayal, the guilt. I can start anew, with the lessons learned and the strength gained from my ordeal. As I drive away, the cabin fading into the distance, I feel a sense of closure. This chapter is over, but my story is far from finished. I've outsmarted them, and now I can begin to rebuild my life, stronger and wiser than before. The trial is a spectacle. The media have a field day with the story of the jilted husband and his dramatic revenge. I sit in the courtroom, feeling the weight of the eyes on me. The detective's relentless pursuit has brought us here, and now the truth will come out. Emily and Mark sit across from me, their faces drawn and pale. They look broken, their spirits crushed. I should feel satisfaction, but all I feel is exhaustion. This has gone on too long, and I need it to end. The prosecutor is ruthless, painting me as a cold, calculating monster. Jack Hayes lured his wife and her lover to a remote cabin where he held them captive and tortured them for weeks, he says, his voice dripping with contempt. My lawyer, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Linda, fights back with everything she has. Jack Hayes is a man driven to the edge by betrayal. He acted out of pain and desperation, not malice, she argues, her voice steady and calm. The courtroom is tense, every word adding to the charged atmosphere. I listen, my heart pounding, my palms sweating. This is it, the culmination of everything. Emily takes the stand first. Her voice is shaky, her eyes darting around the room. Jack was always so distant, so focused on his work, she says. I felt neglected, alone. Mark was there for me when Jack wasn't. The prosecutor pounces. So you're saying your affair was justified? Emily shakes her head, tears streaming down her face. No, it was wrong, but Jack's reaction was, it was monstrous. I clench my fists, fighting the urge to shout. This isn't about justifying my actions. It's about survival. I have to stay calm, stay focused. Mark's testimony is next. He's defiant, trying to paint himself as the victim. Jack attacked us. He threatened us. We were terrified, he says, his voice quivering. Linda cross-examines him, tearing apart his narrative. You knew Emily was married, yet you pursued her. You both planned to start a new life together, didn't you? Mark falters, his confidence waning. Yes, but... No buts, Mr. Parker. You knew what you were doing, and you knew the risks, Linda says, her voice hard. The tension in the room is palpable. Every word, every accusation brings us closer to the breaking point. The judge watches, his expression unreadable. This trial is a battle, and I'm fighting for my life. Finally, it's my turn to testify. I take the stand, my heart racing. I look at the jury, at the judge, at Emily and Mark. This is my moment of truth. Mr. Hayes, can you describe the events that led to your actions? Linda asks, her voice gentle. I nod, taking a deep breath. I found out about the affair by accident. It shattered me. Emily was my world, and she betrayed me. I didn't know how to handle it. The prosecutor interrupts. So you decided to take the law into your own hands. I look him in the eye, my voice steady. I was angry, hurt. I wanted them to feel the pain they caused me. But I didn't intend for it to go as far as it did. The prosecutor presses on, trying to break me. You held them captive, tortured them. That's not the act of a desperate man. That's the act of a sadist. I shake my head. No, I lost control. I made mistakes, but I'm not a monster. The courtroom buzzes with whispers, the tension reaching its peak. The judge calls for order, his gavel striking down with a sharp crack. We will have order in this courtroom. The trial continues, each side presenting their arguments, their evidence. I listen, my fate hanging in the balance. This is the climax of my ordeal, the moment where everything will be decided. Linda calls Paul to the stand. He testifies about our friendship, about how he helped me set up the surveillance. He's careful with his words, trying to protect me while telling the truth. Did you know what Jack planned to do? The prosecutor asks. Paul hesitates, then shakes his head. No. He told me he needed help watching his wife. I didn't know about the rest. The prosecutor smirks, sensing an opportunity. So you're saying you were an unwitting accomplice? Paul's jaw tightens. I helped a friend in need. That's all. The trial is a roller coaster of emotions, each testimony adding to the tension. The judge finally calls for a recess, giving us all a moment to breathe. In the quiet of the courtroom, I feel the weight of it all. The guilt, the anger, the fear. I look at Emily, seeing the woman I once loved, now a stranger. I look at Mark, the man who shattered my life. And I wonder, how did it come to this? The trial resumes. The final arguments presented. Linda makes a passionate plea for leniency, highlighting my suffering, my desperation. The prosecutor demands justice, painting me as a cold-blooded avenger. The jury deliberates, the minutes stretching into hours. I sit, my heart in my throat, waiting for the verdict. This is it. The culmination of my actions, the moment that will define my future. Finally, the jury returns. The foreman stands, holding the slip of paper that will decide my fate. The courtroom falls silent, the tension so thick it's suffocating. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jack Hayes, guilty of unlawful imprisonment and aggravated assault, the foreman says, his voice clear. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Guilty. The room spins, my vision blurring. This is the price of my actions, the cost of my revenge. The judge announces the sentence, 10 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 5. I feel a mix of relief and despair. It's not the worst outcome, but it's not freedom. It's a harsh reality, a new chapter of my life. As I'm led away, I catch Emily's eye. She's crying, her face a mask of regret. Mark looks defeated, his arrogance gone. We're all victims of this tragedy, all paying the price. In my cell, the reality sets in. This is my life now, a life behind bars, paying for my sins. But in a way, it's also a chance for redemption, a chance to rebuild. The days blur into weeks, the routine of prison life taking over. I keep to myself, reflecting on my choices, my mistakes. I think about Emily, about what we had, what we lost. I think about Mark and the pain he caused. And I think about the future, about what comes next. I find solace in routine, in the small tasks that fill my days. I read, I exercise, I write letters to Linda, thanking her for her efforts. I try to find meaning in the chaos, to make sense of my actions. One day, I receive a visitor. It's Emily. She looks different, older, more fragile. We sit across from each other, the glass between us, a stark reminder of our separation. Jack, she says, her voice trembling. I'm so sorry. I nod, my throat tight. Me too. We talk, tentatively, trying to bridge the gap between us. She tells me about her life, about how she's trying to move on. I listen, feeling a mix of sadness and hope. I wish things had been different, she says, tears in her eyes. Me too, I reply, my heart heavy. We part on better terms, a small step towards healing. It's not a resolution, but it's a start. As the months pass, I continue to rebuild. I take classes, earn certifications, prepare for a future outside these walls. I make friends, find a new sense of purpose. This is my path to redemption, my way of making amends. One day, I receive a letter from Mark. He's found a way to reach out, to apologize. I read his words, feeling a mix of anger and understanding. He's paying his price too, facing his demons. We exchange letters, finding a strange sense of closure in our shared pain. It's not forgiveness, but it's a step towards peace. The years pass, and finally, the day comes. I'm up for parole. The hearing is tense, the board scrutinizing every aspect of my life. Linda is there, her support unwavering. The board deliberates, and finally, the decision comes. Parole granted. I'm free. As I step out of the prison gates, the sun shining bright, I feel a sense of rebirth. This is my chance to start over, to build a new life. I look ahead, ready to face the future. I've paid for my sins, but I've also found my strength. This is my story, my journey, and it's far from over. The prison gates close behind me. Freedom feels strange. I breathe in the fresh air, feeling the weight of the last few years lifting off my shoulders. I have a plan, a path to rebuild my life, but the road ahead is uncertain. I take my first steps, determined to move forward. Linda meets me at the entrance, her smile warm. "Welcome back to the world, Jack," she says, giving me a firm hug. "Thanks, Linda. I don't know what I'd do without you." She nods, her eyes full of encouragement. "You have a second chance. Make it count." We drive to a small apartment she found for me. It's modest but clean, a place to start anew. I settle in, feeling the unfamiliar space becoming my own. I have a lot to figure out, but for now, I'm grateful for the simple things: freedom, privacy, and a bed that isn't a prison cot. I spend the first few days adjusting. The world has changed, and so have I. I navigate through new technologies, catch up on news, and try to find my place. I enroll in a job training program, eager to use my skills and find meaningful work. It's a small step, but it's progress. One evening, I receive a call from Emily. My heart races as I answer, unsure of what to expect. "Jack," she says, her voice hesitant. "How are you?" "I'm managing. It's a lot to take in." "I'm glad you're out. I've been thinking about you." Her words stir a mix of emotions: pain, regret, and a flicker of hope. "I've thought about you too, Emily. A lot has happened." We talk for a while, catching up. She tells me about her new job, her efforts to move on. I listen, feeling a strange sense of closure. We both made mistakes, but we're trying to find our way. "I'm sorry for everything," she says, her voice breaking. "I never meant to hurt you like this." I know. We both have our scars. We agree to meet, to talk face to face. It's a risk, but I need this. I need to confront the past to move forward. We meet at a quiet cafe, the atmosphere charged with unspoken words. Emily looks different, older, more fragile. We sit across from each other, the weight of our history between us. "Jack," she starts, her eyes searching mine. "I want you to know I've changed. I've learned from my mistakes." I nod, feeling a lump in my throat. Me too. Prison gave me a lot of time to think, to reflect. We talk about our lives, our regrets, and our hopes for the future. It's painful, but necessary. We're no longer the same people who hurt each other, but we're connected by our shared past. "Can we ever be friends?" she asks, her voice trembling. I think about it, about the possibility of rebuilding something new from the ashes. Maybe. It will take time, but maybe. We part on a hopeful note, a tentative step towards healing. It's not a resolution, but it's a start. I focus on my new job, working hard to prove myself. The routine is comforting, giving me a sense of purpose. I make new friends, slowly building a support system. It's not easy, but each day brings a small victory. One evening, I receive an unexpected visitor. It's Paul, my old friend from private security. We haven't spoken since the trial, and seeing him stirs a mix of emotions. "Jack," he says, his voice rough. "Mind if I come in?" I nod, stepping aside. "Of course. It's good to see you." We sit, the silence heavy. Paul looks older, wearier. He's carrying his own burdens from those dark days. "I've been thinking about you," he says, breaking the silence. "I wanted to see how you're doing." "I'm managing. It's been a tough road." He nods, his eyes filled with regret. "I'm sorry for how things turned out. I should have done more to help you." "You did what you could." We all made choices. We talk, reminiscing about the past, the mistakes we made. It's painful, but cathartic. We both need this closure, this chance to make amends. "Let's keep in touch," Paul says as he leaves. "We've been through too much to lose touch now." Agreed. Thanks for coming, Paul. I continue to rebuild, one step at a time. I find solace in small achievements, in the steady rhythm of work and routine. I start attending therapy, confronting my demons, and working through my trauma. It's hard, but it's necessary. I reconnect with old friends, rebuilding relationships that were strained by my actions. Some are forgiving, others are wary, but I'm grateful for any chance to make things right. Months pass, and life starts to feel normal again. I'm still haunted by the past, but I'm learning to live with it. I focus on the future, on the possibilities ahead. One evening, Emily calls again. She sounds different, more confident. "Jack, I've been seeing a therapist. It's helping a lot." "I'm glad to hear that. Therapy has been helping me too." We talk about our progress, about the changes we're making. It feels good to share, to support each other. We're not the same people who hurt each other, but we're finding a new way forward. "Would you like to meet again?" she asks, her voice hopeful. "Sure. Let's take it slow, see where it goes." We meet regularly, rebuilding our relationship step by step. It's not easy, but we're committed to healing. We talk about our future, about the possibility of friendship, even forgiveness. It's a long road, but we're walking it together. One day, I receive a letter from Mark. He's in therapy too, trying to make sense of his actions. He asks for forgiveness, expressing deep regret for his part in the betrayal. I read his words, feeling a mix of anger and understanding. Forgiveness is hard, but holding on to hatred is harder. I write back, telling him about my journey, about the changes I'm making. It's not an easy conversation, but it's a necessary one. We exchange letters, finding a strange sense of peace in our shared pain. As the months turn into years, I find a new rhythm in life. I'm not defined by my past, but I'm shaped by it. I've learned to forgive, to let go of the anger that once consumed me. I focus on the present, on building a better future. I continue to see Emily, our relationship evolving into a deep, supportive friendship. We've both changed, grown, and found new ways to be there for each other. It's not the love we once had, but it's a new kind of bond, forged through hardship and healing. My job becomes a source of pride, a testament to my resilience. I work hard, earn promotions, and build a new life for myself. I make new friends, create new memories, and find joy in the simple things. One evening, I reflect on my journey, the pain, the mistakes, the growth. I've come a long way, but I know there's still more to do. I'm ready for whatever comes next, with the strength I've gained from my ordeal. I look at the horizon, feeling a sense of hope. This is my life, my story. I've made mistakes, but I've also made amends. I'm ready to face the future, with all its challenges and possibilities. As I close this chapter, I feel a sense of peace. I'm not the man I was, but I'm proud of the man I've become. This is my path to resolution, my journey to redemption. And it's only just beginning. The final confrontation is here. The courtroom buzzes with tension. I've been through trials before, But this one is different. This is about closure, about putting the past to rest. I sit at the defense table, my heart pounding. Emily and Mark are across the room, their faces drawn and pale. The judge enters, calling the court to order. The prosecutor stands, ready to make his case. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today we revisit a story of betrayal and revenge. We will examine the long-term consequences of Jack Hayes' actions and their impact on the lives of Emily and Mark. Linda, my lawyer, rises. Your Honor, the defense will demonstrate that while Jack Hayes' actions were extreme, they were driven by deep emotional trauma. We will show that he has made significant strides in rehabilitation and deserves a chance at redemption. The prosecutor calls his first witness, a psychologist who has evaluated Emily and Mark. Their trauma is severe, the psychologist says. The physical scars have healed, but the emotional scars remain. Emily takes the stand next. She looks at me, her eyes filled with tears. Jack, what you did broke me. But I've come to understand why you did it. I want to move forward, but the past keeps pulling me back. Mark follows. He's more defiant, his anger still raw. Jack's actions were unforgivable. I live with the fear and pain every day. Linda cross-examines them, focusing on their roles in the affair. Mr. Parker, isn't it true that you pursued Emily despite knowing she was married? Mark shifts uncomfortably. Yes, but that doesn't justify what happened. True, Linda says, her voice firm. But it's important to understand the full context. Finally, it's my turn. I take a deep breath, standing to face the court. I regret my actions deeply. I was consumed by anger and betrayal. I've spent years trying to make amends, to understand my failings. The prosecutor is relentless. Mr. Hayes, do you believe you deserve forgiveness? I meet his gaze, my voice steady. I hope for it, but I know it's not owed to me. I've worked hard to change, to be better. The courtroom is silent as I speak. I can feel the weight of my words, the importance of this moment. This is my reckoning, my chance to show that I've grown, that I'm more than my worst actions. The judge calls for a recess, giving everyone a chance to reflect. I sit alone, my thoughts racing. This trial is more than just a legal battle. It's a test of my character, my willingness to face the consequences of my actions. When the court reconvenes, the judge addresses the jury. You must decide if Jack Hayes has shown sufficient remorse and rehabilitation. This is not just about punishment, but about the possibility of redemption. The jury deliberates, the minutes stretching into hours. I sit, my heart in my throat, waiting for their decision. This is it, the culmination of everything I've been through. Finally, the jury returns. The foreman stands, holding the slip of paper that will decide my fate. The courtroom falls silent, the tension thick. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jack Hayes, to have shown genuine remorse and rehabilitation. We recommend leniency in sentencing. The words wash over me, a wave of relief and gratitude. The judge nods, considering the jury's recommendation. Mr. Hayes, you have demonstrated significant growth. Your sentence will be reduced to time served, with mandatory community service and continued therapy. I feel a rush of emotions, relief, gratitude, hope. This is my chance to truly rebuild, to move forward without the weight of the past dragging me down. Outside the courtroom, Emily approaches me. Jack, I'm glad this is over. We both need to heal. I nod, my throat tight. Thank you, Emily. I'm sorry for everything. We part on better terms, a small step towards healing. It's not a resolution, but it's a start. I feel lighter, the burden of my past lifting. This is my chance to start anew, to build a life based on redemption and growth. I throw myself into my community service, finding purpose in helping others. I work at a shelter, helping those who have faced their own struggles. It's hard work, but it's fulfilling. I see the impact of my efforts, the small ways I can make a difference. Therapy continues, helping me navigate my emotions, my regrets. I confront my demons, work through my trauma. It's not easy, but it's necessary. I'm committed to being better, to living a life I can be proud of. One day, as I'm leaving the shelter, I run into Paul. He's been keeping tabs on me, supporting me from a distance. "You're doing good work here, Jack," he says, his voice warm. "Thanks, Paul. It helps to give back." He nods, his eyes filled with understanding. "We all have our paths to redemption. You're on the right track." I continue to rebuild my life one day at a time. I reconnect with old friends, rebuild strained relationships. Some are forgiving, others are wary, but I'm grateful for any chance to make things right. Emily and I continue our tentative friendship, supporting each other as we heal. We talk about our progress, our hopes for the future. It's not the love we once had, but it's a new kind of bond, forged through hardship and healing. I focus on my job, working hard to prove myself. The routine is comforting, giving me a sense of purpose. I make new friends, slowly building a support system. It's not easy, but each day brings a small victory. One evening, I receive a letter from Mark. He's in therapy too, trying to make sense of his actions. He asks for forgiveness, expressing deep regret for his part in the betrayal. I read his words, feeling a mix of anger and understanding. Forgiveness is hard, but holding on to hatred is harder. I write back, telling him about my journey, about the changes I'm making. It's not an easy conversation, but it's a necessary one. We exchange letters, finding a strange sense of peace in our shared pain. As the months turn into years, I find a new rhythm in life. I'm not defined by my past, but I'm shaped by it. I've learned to forgive, to let go of the anger that once consumed me. I focus on the present, on building a better future. One evening, I reflect on my journey. The pain, the mistakes, the growth. I've come a long way, but I know there's still more to do. I'm ready for whatever comes next, with the strength I've gained from my ordeal. I look at the horizon, feeling a sense of hope. This is my life, my story. I've made mistakes, but I've also made amends. I'm ready to face the future, with all its challenges and possibilities. As I close this chapter, I feel a sense of peace. I'm not the man I was, but I'm proud of the man I've become. This is my reckoning, my journey to redemption. And it's only just beginning. The days blend together as I continue my journey of rebuilding. Every morning, I wake up with a renewed sense of purpose. I'm no longer shackled by my past, but instead, I'm driven by the desire to create a better future. I stand in front of the mirror, adjusting my tie. Today is special. I'm receiving an award for my work at the shelter, a recognition of my efforts to give back to the community. It feels surreal, considering where I was a few years ago. I take a deep breath, ready to face the day. At the ceremony, familiar faces greet me with warm smiles. Paul is there, his support unwavering. Emily arrives, her presence a reminder of the journey we've shared. We exchange a brief, meaningful glance before I take the stage. As I accept the award, I feel a wave of gratitude. "Thank you," I begin, my voice steady. "This award is not just for me, but for everyone who believed in second chances. I've made mistakes, but I've also learned the value of redemption and forgiveness." The applause is thunderous. I step off the stage, feeling a sense of closure. This moment is a testament to how far I've come, but it's also a reminder of the path ahead. Later, Emily and I find a quiet corner. "I'm proud of you, Jack," she says, her eyes reflecting a mix of emotions. "Thanks, Emily. I couldn't have done it without your support." We sit in comfortable silence, the weight of the past no longer suffocating. We've both found our own ways to heal, and now we can finally look forward to the future. Life settles into a new rhythm. I continue my work at the shelter, finding fulfillment in helping others. I take on new projects, using my skills to make a positive impact. It's challenging, but it's also incredibly rewarding. Emily and I maintain our friendship, a bond strengthened by our shared experiences. We meet regularly, supporting each other's growth. It's not the relationship we once had, but it's a new kind of connection, built on mutual respect and understanding. One evening, I receive a letter from Mark. He's been making progress in therapy, working through his own demons. He writes about his regrets, his hopes for the future. It's a heartfelt letter, and as I read it, I feel a strange sense of peace. Forgiveness is a long road, but we're both walking it. I write back, encouraging him to continue his journey. Our correspondence becomes a source of strength, a way to process our past and look towards the future. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Months pass, and I find myself reflecting on my journey, the pain, the mistakes, the growth. I've come a long way, but I know there's still more to do. I'm ready for whatever comes next, with the strength I've gained from my ordeal. One day, I decide to visit the cabin. It's been years since that night, and I need to confront the memories head on. As I drive up the winding road, I feel a mix of anxiety and determination. The cabin looks the same, a silent witness to my past. I step inside, the air thick with memories. I walk through each room, feeling the weight of what happened here. It's a painful reminder, but also a testament to how far I've come. I sit on the porch, watching the sun set over the horizon. The sky is painted with hues of orange and pink, a symbol of hope and renewal. I take a deep breath, feeling a sense of closure. This chapter is over, but my story is far from finished. I've learned that life is a series of moments, each one shaping us in ways we can't always predict. I'm not defined by my past, but I'm shaped by it. I've made mistakes, but I've also made amends. I'm ready to face the future, with all its challenges and possibilities. As I drive away from the cabin, I feel a sense of peace. This is my life, my journey. I've paid for my sins, but I've also found my strength. This is my path to redemption, my journey to healing. And it's only just beginning. I look at the road ahead, feeling a sense of hope. This is my story, and I'm ready to write the next chapter. The past may have shaped me, but the future is mine to create. I found my way back from the darkness, and now I'm ready to embrace the light. This is my conclusion, but also a new beginning. I'm not the man I was, but I'm proud of the man I've become. This is my reckoning, my journey to redemption, and it's only just beginning.